Hello everyone, and harasimiin ke irene. Grace to you and peace. In this video we're going to look at 3 verses that, taken together, show us that the law of Moses passed away and when it passed away. So first let's look at Matthew 24:35. Matthew 24:35, which reads in the Greek, O oranos ke eye parelevsete ide logimu ou me pareltosin. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. So here we have Messiah, Jesus Christ, speaking and making a contrast between something temporal and something eternal. What is temporal? Heaven and earth, o oranos ke eye. They will pass away, par erchome, from para, alongside, and erchome, to come or to go. Thus, something that passes by, passes away, passes out of sight, and is rendered void. There will come a time when heaven and earth are no longer needed and will pass away. They will have served their purpose. And that's a special note to environmentalists and people that are members of the green movement. You are devoting your energies to something temporal, something that will pass away, something that will serve its purpose and no longer be needed. It's not a worthy goal for your highest and best efforts, environmentalism, because heaven and earth will pass away. Now, what is eternal? My words, the words of Messiah, Jesus Christ, who is speaking here, Elogimu. So clearly the words of Messiah, Jesus Christ, are eternal. The heavens and the earth are temporal. Now, interestingly, there is another verse that is very similar to this, that is tied directly into this verse, and that is Matthew 5:18, which says, For truly I say to you, until, and that word is very important in this verse, for truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away. Not the smallest letter or stroke shall pass away from the law until all is accomplished. That word until is very important there, showing that just as the heavens and the earth will pass away, so the law will also pass away. The first clause in Matthew 5:18 is very similar to the first clause in Matthew 24:35. The fact that heaven and earth are temporal and will pass away. So you have, it's actually the exact same phrase, o oranos ke eye, and used with the verb par erchome, meaning to pass away, to be rendered void. But in Matthew 5:18, we see that the temporal heaven and earth that will pass away are being compared with onomos, the law, referring to the law of Moses, which will also pass away, eos an panta yenete, eos an panta yenote, at the point at which all is accomplished. The word for accomplished is yinome, which means to emerge, become, transitioning from one point, realm, or condition to another. And yinome is in the aorist middle subjunctive, thus meaning to be accomplished or to come to pass. Thus, I can't emphasize enough that Matthew 5:18 is clearly stating that the law of Moses had a terminus ad quem, a termination point, a point at which it would end. And that point is said to be when all was accomplished. Thus, Matthew 5:18 is telling us that just as heaven and earth are temporal and will pass away when they have served their purpose, so the law of Moses was temporal and was to pass away when it had served its purpose, when all was accomplished. So naturally the question is, when was all accomplished? Let's look at John 19:28. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things had already been accomplished, to fulfill the scripture, said, I am thirsty. This statement was made by Jesus on the cross. Thus, the point at which all things were accomplished was the cross. And that is the point at which the law of Moses passed away. So let's juxtapose these two verses once more to emphasize this very important point that most people totally miss. Most people read this passage, Matthew 5:17 through 20, and simply miss this point. This is the heart of the passage. Matthew 5:18, for truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not the smallest letter or stroke shall pass from the law until all is accomplished. John 19:28, after this, Jesus, knowing that all things had already been accomplished, to fulfill the scripture, said, I am thirsty. The law of Moses passed away at the cross. Thank you, and Evcharisto.